To many, mutual funds can seem complicated or intimidating. But don't worry, Upsurge is here to demystify the complexity surrounding a mutual fund. For starters, a mutual fund is defined as a mechanism for pooling the resources by issuing units to the investors and investing funds and securities in accordance with the objectives as disclosed in the offer document. Too heavy, right? Well, don't worry. Let's break this down by taking the example of a pizza. But before that, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more engaging content. Now, let's say that there's a pizza that contains 8 slices of different flavors, and each slice contains different toppings like bell peppers, mushrooms, onions, cherry tomatoes, and so on. Now, in this case, each of the slices represent a distinct mutual fund, and each topping represents a particular company's stock. So, if you collectively see it, a mutual fund comprises investment in different company stocks or bonds. Since each slice has its own specific flavor, it signifies the fact that every mutual fund is unique in its own way due to the kind of securities it invests in. Well, there's one aspect that we're still missing. SEBI defines a mutual fund as a mechanism for pooling resources. What this essentially means is that investors like you and me come together to pool money in exchange for a small share in the slice of the pizza. Since mutual funds invest in a collection of companies, they offer instant diversification to the investors along with the advantage to start off with as small as Rs 100 in some mutual funds. Let me depict the process of a typical mutual fund for you. Here, investors like you and me contribute a certain amount to the mutual fund. This creates a large pool of money with a professional fund manager who, based on research and analysis, makes decisions about buying and selling securities in the mutual fund. And of course, the returns generated by these mutual funds are shared by the investors in proportion to the investments. Of course, it's not as simple as it sounds. But if you're a food buff, making sense of NAV and AUM will be a cakewalk. Let me tell you how. Let's say that there's a Frankie that is made of paneer, cheese, potatoes and Szechuan sauce, and the total cost of the Frankie is Rs 100, which is derived from the total sum of all the ingredients in it. Now, let's say we divide the Frankie into 4 units. Now, the price of each unit will be equivalent to 100 divided by 4, which comes out to be Rs 25. This is the per unit value of the Frankie. Well, the same logic applies to a mutual fund, except it has stocks and bonds instead of paneer and cheese. These stocks and bonds have a market price. So, when a mutual fund is broken down into units, the price of each unit is the NAV or the net asset value of the fund, and the total investment value, which is 100 here, can be called the assets under management or the AUM of the mutual fund. Mutual funds collect money from investors like us and allot these units to us, very similar to buying shares of a company. Let's say ABC Mutual Fund launches a new scheme called ABC 50 Fund. Let's assume the scheme collects Rs 1 lakh from 100 investors who invested Rs 1000 each. If the fund issues the units of the mutual fund at an NAV of Rs 10, it will allot 10,000 units. Now, since we have an investment, or also known as assets under management or the AUM of Rs 1 lakh, the amount will be invested in different stocks or bonds. As the name of the fund suggests, the fund managers will invest the total corpus of Rs 1 lakh in 50 stocks that they think will deliver good returns. While in reality, the fund manager would invest a higher proportion in stocks that deliver robust returns, but for the sake of simplicity, let's assume that he invests an equal amount in all the 50 stocks. It is highly likely that the fund maintains a cash balance to deal with redemptions. Now obviously, there'll be a change in the stock prices at some point. So let's say after 3 months, the total value of stocks present in the portfolio climbs up to Rs 1.2 lakhs. Make a note that at this point, neither any new investors have entered the fund nor have any stocks been added to the fund. Therefore, the NAV of each unit becomes Rs 12. So, the investment of the investors has grown to Rs 1.2 lakh. This gives us a gain of Rs 20,000 or 20%. Now, there could be certain investors who wish to redeem their units in a mutual fund, probably because they want to use the money for some other purpose. Fund managers may use the cash balance to deal with such requests. If that is not enough, they may sell some stocks to pay the investors back. So let's say that 1,000 units need to be redeemed. This translates to an outflow of Rs 12,000, which effectively brings down the value of units to Rs 1.08 lakh. Now, the units left are 9,000 and the NAV is still Rs 12. What if the stock market prices stumble at this point? Let's assume that the AUM falls from rupees 1.08 lakh to 1 lakh. The NAV also comes down to rupees 11.11 per unit in such a case. At this point, let's say that there's another investor who wants to put more money into the fund. If he puts rupees 1 lakh into the fund, the units allotted to him will be just 9,000.9 and not 10,000 as we've discussed above. This is because NAV has come down to 11.11 per unit. Well, in reality, there are thousands of transactions daily. So, the units allotted to each investor varies according to the change in the NAV of the fund. There is a simple formula to compute the NAV. So, the NAV equals the total liabilities subtracted from the total assets divided by the total outstanding shares. The total assets reflect the aggregate market value of a particular fund's investments, receivables, cash and cash equivalents, and other accrued income. This value is calculated at the end of each day based on the closing price of the various securities included in the fund's portfolio as we've discussed above. The total liabilities reflect the outstanding payments, the amount owed to lenders, the other fees, and the charges owed by the mutual fund house to third parties. A company called XYZ Limited manages a mutual fund and has the following details. The value of securities in the mutual fund is rupees 1 crore. The cash and cash equivalents is rupees 25 lakh. The short-term liabilities is rupees 20 lakh, long-term liabilities are rupees 5 lakh, the accrued expenses today is rupees 5,000 and the outstanding shares is rupees 2 lakh. So, NAV comes out to be. If you carefully see this equation, I'm sure we can all agree that there's a direct correlation of the market value of securities and the NAV. If the market value of all the securities in the mutual funds go up, so will the NAV. Conversely, if the prices tumble, the NAV will go down too. Let's say you plan to invest in a mutual fund and decide to compare a few of them to make the best decision. For Fund 1, the NAV is equal to rupees 15. For Fund 2, the NAV is equal to rupees 10. And for Fund 3, the NAV is equal to rupees 20. Is there any insight that you gain by comparing just the NAV of different funds? Well, not really. Just like a higher share price does not indicate the performance of a company, similarly, a higher NAV does not reflect better performance. It is important to look at the performance history of the fund, the securities of the fund, the qualifications of the fund manager, and other important metrics as well. Stay tuned to learn more only with Upsurge.club.